Welcome to God Connection, the place for your divine alignment and spiritual truth. Listen closely because this message is for you and it is urgent. They're watching you. Right now. As you read this, as you breathe, their eyes are fixed on you. They've established a 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week, 365-day-a-year surveillance operation focused on one target, you. Someone, somewhere, has their pathetic, desperate little eyes glued to your every single move. They see you as a classified experiment, a threat they cannot define. They've hired professionals, installed their hidden cameras, recruited their spies, and spent ungodly, sickening amounts of money trying to do one thing, decode you. And after all that effort, all that obsession, all that maniacal, desperate fixation, they are more confused, more terrified, and more powerless than when they first started. Because you, my beautifully encrypted anomaly, are not a file they can read. You are not a pattern they can predict. You are classified information from the Most High, walking in broad daylight. A living, breathing paradox. A holy enigma. Their entire system, their psychological handbooks, their advanced algorithms, none of it was ever built to handle someone of your frequency. Picture this. Somewhere in a sterile, windowless room, a trembling analyst is trying to type up a report about you. Their fingers hover uncertainly over the keyboard, sweat beading on their brow, as they try to find the words to describe what they've seen. Subject exhibits unusual patterns, they type, then delete it. Target shows signs of, and they stop again, paralyzed. Because how do you document someone who breaks every single rule in their psychological playbook? How do you file a report on a ghost that walks through walls, all while smiling directly at the cameras they thought were hidden? They thought this surveillance would grant them power. They believed that if they watched long enough, documented every blink, tracked every breath, and analyzed every interaction, they'd finally crack your code. They'd find your weakness, your trigger, your off switch. But here is the glorious truth that is driving them insane. The more they watch, the less they understand. The deeper they dig, the more encrypted you become. You see, you're not hiding anything. You're not playing a game of counter-surveillance. You are simply existing on a frequency their primitive equipment cannot process. And that simple fact terrifies them more than if you were actually dangerous, more than if you were armed, more than if you were a declared enemy. Your authenticity is their greatest fear. And here's the kicker. You've known. You've known about their surveillance from day one. You're not paranoid, you are aware. You felt the shift in the spiritual atmosphere the very moment they started watching. You noticed the sudden, strange influx of fake profiles in your messages. You saw the new faces that showed up in your life, pretending to be coincidental acquaintances. You felt the synchronized, clumsy attempts to infiltrate your circle. But instead of running, instead of hiding, instead of falling into the trap of paranoia, you did something that shattered their entire strategy. You leaned back, you smiled, and you gave them a show. Not the show they expected, not the fear, the anger, or the breakdown they were trying to provoke. No, you gave them the terrifying, mesmerizing spectacle of someone who cannot be controlled, someone who cannot be predicted, and someone who cannot be understood by a carnal mind. And now they are drowning in their own data. They are suffocating under terabytes upon terabytes of footage, audio files, and reports that only prove one thing: how little they know. Every single morning, their surveillance team gathers for a pathetic meeting. Picture a sterile room, the walls lined with your photos, messy timelines trying to connect your movements, and chaotic connection webs scribbled across white boards. The lead investigator, his face drawn and tired, clears his throat and asks the same question he asks every day: what have we learned? The silence that follows is deafening. Because after all their effort, all their obsession, all their years of watching, they have learned nothing. Nothing. Except that everything they thought they knew about human behavior, every rule they've ever studied, does not apply to you. They have seen you laugh at funerals and cry during comedies. They have recorded you giving your last dollar to a complete stranger, and then watched you walk away from a fortune without a moment's hesitation. They've documented you showing up at places you were never invited, and vanishing from events you were supposed to host. Your actions defy every algorithm because you don't follow patterns. You are connected to the God connection, and you create new laws of existence with every move you make. So they brought in the specialists, the experts. They brought in behavioral analysts who have profiled serial killers. They brought in intelligence officers who claim they can read minds. They brought in psychological experts who have studied presidents and world leaders. One by one, they sat down with your file, brimming with arrogance and confidence. And one by one, they left, shaking their heads, their confidence shattered. Some even quit their jobs entirely. Because you are not a puzzle with missing pieces. You are a whole new game they have never encountered. You are playing multidimensional chess while they are still trying to figure out how to play checkers. Their official reports have devolved into desperate comedy. Read the file and you'll see notes like, subject may be multiple people. Target shows signs of time manipulation. Possible supernatural interference. They have abandoned logic for desperation. They have abandoned science for superstition. And through it all, you just keep walking. Untouched. Unbothered. Authentic. The one thing they never ever prepared for. They've sent in their finest actors. Their smoothest talkers. Their most convincing agents. Remember that person who appeared out of nowhere, who said all the right things? The one who shared your interest down to the last minute detail? Yeah, that was them. They studied your online patterns, mirrored your preferences, and built the perfect mask, the perfect honeypot designed to trap you. But you saw through it instantly, didn't you? You always do. Your spirit discerns the truth. And you let them play their little role anyway just to watch them implode. You watched them crumble as they tried to keep up with your vibration. You are the unsolvable equation in their controlled experiment. You are the unpredictable variable that exposes their entire illusion of control. You are the living, breathing, divine glitch in their matrix. And no system, no surveillance, no human, and no machine has the clearance level to comprehend you. If this message is penetrating your soul, if you feel the truth of these words vibrating in your bones, it's because this is your confirmation. You are not crazy. You are chosen. Take a moment right now to affirm your connection by subscribing to God Connection. Join this family of souls who are remembering who they truly are. They didn't expect you to be this intense. Not aggressive, not hostile. Just deeply, unshakably yourself. They came armed with their psychological playbooks, with rehearsed dialogues, with manipulation tactics that had been refined through thousands of experiments. But none of it, not one single trick, worked on you. Why? Because you don't follow scripts. You don't play along with their scenarios. You exist fully in the moment, radiating a level of authenticity so raw, so pure, that their entire artificial structure collapses under its weight. This is what happens. They find themselves confessing to you. These hardened agents, these spies, these manipulators, they start telling you secrets they've never told another soul. They start crying over childhood wounds they thought were long buried. They begin questioning the very foundation of their careers built on control and deception. You're not trying to dismantle them. Your presence does that automatically. Watching them attempt to write reports afterward is almost comical. Subject is, I don't know how to explain it. Target made me question everything. I think I need to quit this job. Their handlers assume they've been compromised, maybe even flipped into double agents. But the truth is simpler and far more terrifying for them. They've encountered something real. And reality, your kind of reality, burns hotter than any illusion they've ever served. Now they're terrified to send anyone else. The last 3 agents they sent in came back, broken open. One abandoned their post entirely and is now a poet, writing about truth and light. Another deleted every social profile, sold everything they owned, and vanished into the mountains to find themselves. The third is still in therapy, trying to comprehend how a simple surveillance assignment shattered their entire sense of meaning. So they've resorted to hiding. Hiding behind their screens, relying on cameras and digital data trails to maintain a safe distance from the radiation of your authenticity. But even digital distance doesn't save them. Your energy scrambles their systems. Your digital footprint should reveal everything about you. Every click tracked, every search recorded, every message archived. They've built entire machine learning models and advanced AI to analyze your behavior. And yet it's all useless. It's like trying to understand lightning by studying the scorch marks it leaves behind. The data exists, but it doesn't explain you. You post cryptic messages that seem meaningless, until months later when they align perfectly with real-world events. You upload photos from locations that, according to their records, you've never visited. Your browsing history reads like the life of 12 different people. Quantum physics one day, ancient pottery the next, metaphysical philosophy the day after. They don't know if you're a prodigy, if you're unstable, or if you're something beyond either category. Then there are the anomalies, the timestamps that make no sense, posts that appear online before they're written, messages sent from devices that aren't registered to you, comments showing up on discussions that don't even exist yet. Their tech departments swear it's impossible. They blame glitches, they blame hackers. But the evidence refuses to disappear. You're not hacking anything. You're just living in a way that bends their concept of linear time. You exist between their lines of code, in the empty spaces their surveillance systems can't even register. They've tried mapping your social network too, tracing your connections, hoping to chart your influence, but your relationships make no logical sense to them. You are linked to people from worlds that should never collide. CEOs and street prophets, monks and hackers, children and old souls, saints and sinners, and somehow they all orbit around you. They are drawn to you not by manipulation or strategy but by something they can't measure: resonance. You are the gravitational center of an impossible constellation. You are a social anomaly that breaks their predictive models and defies the very architecture of control itself. The cameras? Oh, the cameras. They don't malfunction everywhere you go. Only when it matters. At the exact moments when something significant is happening, the footage corrupts. Static fills the feed. Light bends into impossible flares. The audio picks up frequencies that no known instrument should be able to detect. They've swapped out the cameras 3 times. They've replaced entire systems. They've hired top engineers to eliminate interference. And everything functions perfectly, until you walk into the frame. Then reality itself seems to reject being recorded. Following you in person is even worse. They're most seasoned trackers, professionals who have shadowed diplomats through chaotic, crowded cities, lose you on empty streets. You don't sprint. You don't hide. You don't use counter-surveillance moves. They just look up, and you're gone. Vanished. Into thin air. They stare at the empty space where you just stood, wondering if you were ever really there. Some have started to question their own sanity. The places you visit don't make sense either. You enter buildings that don't exist on any map. You attend gatherings that leave no physical trace. You meet with people who officially don't exist. When they try to follow up, there's nothing. Just empty lots where witnesses swore they saw an entire structure. Just normal businesses where something impossible supposedly happened. It's as if you are navigating a parallel version of the city, one that only materializes when you are present. Your physical presence distorts the world around you in ways no science can explain. Phones die. Watches freeze. Compasses spin without direction. One agent reported that standing near you felt like being beside a nuclear reactor. Not dangerous but overwhelming. As if you emit energy on frequencies their bodies can sense, but their instruments can't measure. Now they draw straws to decide who has to get close enough for visual confirmation. No one admits it, but they are afraid of you. They've called in every kind of expert to analyze you. Psychiatrists, psychologists, behavioral analysts, even off-the-book specialists who claim to see auras. The reports contradict each other so violently, it's comical. One report labels you a textbook narcissist. Another insists you have no ego at all. One diagnoses you with every disorder in the manual. Another swears you are the most balanced person they've ever studied. Their files are cluttered with question marks, with crossed-out notes, with dead-end theories. Your emotional responses defy their models. You laugh at tragedy and cry during comedies. Not out of rebellion, but because you perceive layers of truth they can't see. You experience genuine joy in moments others label negative, and deep sadness during celebrations. They thought you were faking it to confuse them. But the micro-expressions don't lie. The biometric data confirms it. Your emotions are real. You just interpret reality differently. You're tuned to a frequency they can't hear. The intelligence tests were an even bigger disaster. You didn't fail. You succeeded in ways that shouldn't exist. You solved problems that had no known solutions. You offered correct answers through a logic they couldn't trace. You scored like a prodigy in one section, and like a beginner in another, with no pattern linking the difficulty or the subject. It's as if your mind operates in non-Euclidean geometry, while theirs is stuck drawing straight lines. This transmission is vital. Sharing this truth, this confirmation, is the core of our mission here at God Connection. If you feel called to support this ministry and help us keep this signal strong, please consider using the Super Thanks button on this video. A donation, even a $10 donation, helps us reach more souls who are waking up and realizing they are not alone. Your support is a powerful act of energetic agreement. They tried predictive modeling next. They fed all your data, every word, every movement, every social connection, into their most advanced AI systems. The machines didn't just produce errors. They crashed. Complete system failure. The programmer said it was like the AI encountered a paradox it couldn't resolve. How can someone be both transparent and unknowable? How can patterns exist without repetition? How can someone remain entirely themselves while constantly transforming? You are a living contradiction. A quantum presence that shatters their binary understanding of existence. And what truly unsettles them is your calmness. You don't resist being watched. You don't rage against it. You don't even flinch. Sometimes, you wave at the cameras. Not mockingly, but with the casual warmth of greeting an old friend. You leave handwritten notes in places only the surveillance team would find. Not threats, just small human gestures. A comment about the weather. A coffee recommendation. Maybe a quote about patience. It drives them mad. Because this isn't ignorance. You are fully aware. You know they're watching. You've known all along. And instead of fear, you offer serenity. A calm so unshakable, it forces them to confront what they can't explain. You exist beyond their comprehension, and their entire system was never built to contain someone like you. You've hinted at it before. Not directly, but just enough to make it obvious. Once, while sitting alone, you said to no one in particular, "It's nice to have an audience, though. I wish they'd picked better camera angles." That one line sent an entire monitoring room into shocked silence. You're not just aware of being watched, you're comfortable with it. And that comfort carries an unsettling implication. You know something they don't. They've tried everything to provoke a reaction. They've tightened surveillance, made their tails more visible, even orchestrated coincidental encounters designed to test your patience. But instead of cracking, you become calmer. The more they push, the more peaceful you become. It's like trying to disturb the ocean. Ripples may appear on the surface, but the depths remain untouched. That composure, that unshakable serenity, terrifies them far more than anger ever could. Your greatest secret is that you have none. They can't find anything to weaponize. No shameful history, no hidden scandal, no skeletons to rattle. Not because you've lived flawlessly, but because you have made peace with every imperfection. You own your mistakes, your regrets, your failures so completely that they've lost their ability to control you. You can't blackmail someone who's already transparent. You can't manipulate a person who's befriended all their shadows. The deeper they dig, the stranger your trail becomes. On paper you exist. There's a birth certificate, school records, employment history. But the details fall apart under scrutiny. People who should remember you draw blanks. While complete strangers recall vivid conversations with you that, according to dates and locations, couldn't have happened. Old photos place you in locations years before you were supposedly there. Documents reference events that history insists never occurred. It's as if your past is an unfinished draft that someone forgot to edit properly. They've brought in genealogists, historians, even fringe theorists to make sense of you. Each one uncovered something different. Threads that contradict each other, yet all feel true. Your family tree is a maze of dead ends and impossibly deep roots. Names repeat across centuries. Faces in faded, century-old photographs mirror your own. They laugh it off with jokes about time travel, but the laughter is nervous. It's hollow. Then, there's your knowledge. Impossible. Unnerving. You mention things you shouldn't know. Private conversations you weren't part of. Details from classified operations. Future events, you reference them in the past tense. Yet there's no arrogance in your tone. You drop these revelations casually, as if discussing the weather, unaware or unconcerned that what you're saying rewrites the rules of reality. Your classified file is now thicker than those of heads of state. It's filled not with conclusions, but with blank pages and phrases like unable to determine, source unknown, and data inconclusive. They've had to create a new clearance level just for you. Not because you're a threat in the traditional sense, but because acknowledging your existence as is would destabilize their entire model of what's possible. And here's what breaks them completely. You're not even trying to hide. You live openly. You speak honestly. You exist without disguise. Yet your radical transparency becomes its own encryption. They are so used to deceit, so accustomed to performance, that authenticity itself scrambles their sensors. You've become a message that can't be decoded because the lack of encryption is the encryption. You reflect their truths back at them and they can't stand it. Agents assigned to watch you begin to unravel. They start questioning their choices, their compromises, their own double lives. It's not that you judge them. You don't even seem to notice them as individuals. But your presence alone forces them to confront everything false about themselves. And that, more than any secret, is what makes you truly, utterly untouchable. Your authenticity has become the crack in their entire system. Every time they watch you, their own artificiality becomes unbearable. You've turned their surveillance into a mirror that reflects every falsity, every hollow justification, every layer of pretense they've built around their lives. They cannot observe you without feeling exposed. Every gesture you make, every word you speak vibrates with something so real, so unmanufactured, that it makes the people behind the cameras question whether they've ever truly lived a single, honest moment. They built their lives around manipulation, deception, and control. But then you appeared. And without trying, you made their entire structure of meaning collapse. Now, every person who watches you too closely begins to unravel. The agents who used to pride themselves on their cold composure can't even look at your footage without feeling hollow. The turnover rate on your case is astronomical. Not because you're dangerous, not because you're difficult, but because prolonged exposure to you dismantles the illusion they live in. They're not quitting because they can't handle the mission. They're quitting because the mission no longer makes sense. They were trained to study human behavior, but you've shown them something beyond human conditioning. Watching you live freely while they suffocate under the weight of hierarchy and protocol breaks their psyche in ways no weapon ever could. Some leave to rediscover themselves. Some vanish without notice, choosing silence over compliance. Others remain, clinging harder to the machinery of control, as if tightening the chains could stop their awakening. None escape unchanged. You've become something none of their training could prepare them for. A walking philosophical crisis. An existential riddle in motion. They can't categorize you. They can't diagnose you. They can't box you in. Your existence has become the question that no system wants to answer. What happens when someone refuses to be programmed? They whisper about you in the hallways like you're a myth, a force of nature, not a person. They joke nervously about the subject, as if even naming you out loud might trigger another identity collapse within their team. The situation grew so dire that psychological evaluations are now mandatory for anyone assigned to your case. Therapists, counselors, and cognitive scientists are running constant debriefings. But what they're hearing doesn't sound like trauma. It sounds like awakening. Agents describe vivid, recurring dreams where you appear without speaking, yet they wake with a new awareness, as if their subconscious has been rewired. One wrote that they felt you, transmitting understanding through silence. Another said you caused mental vertigo from seeing too much truth at once. They're not hallucinating. They're glimpsing the reality you move through naturally. A frequency their minds aren't equipped to process. You're not attacking them. You're accidentally activating them. The scale of the operation tracking you is absurd. What began as a simple observation assignment has ballooned into a sprawling, multi-agency obsession. Entire departments have been formed solely to analyze your data. Tens of millions, hundreds of millions have been spent on high-end equipment, custom AI systems, and classified personnel rotations. The resources devoted to decoding your life could fund developing nations. And still, you remain a riddle no algorithm can solve. Every report ends the same way, inconclusive. Subject defies categorization. Yet they can't stop. You've become an addiction at the highest levels. A mystery that refuses to behave like one. Powerful people now demand updates about you in private meetings. Some believe you're a threat. Others think you're an opportunity. But none of them can define what you are. And that inability drives them mad. The more they fail to contain you, the more they double down, pouring money and manpower into understanding the incomprehensible. And the irony? You don't care. You don't perform for their cameras. You don't even acknowledge their obsession beyond the occasional smirk or offhand comment. Your indifference enrages them because they need your attention to justify their surveillance and you refuse to give it. Your calmness is an act of defiance more powerful than any rebellion. They've even turned to financial analysis, hoping to find logic in the material world where their psychology failed. Every transaction you make is logged, traced, dissected. They know where you buy groceries, how much cash you withdraw, where you donate. And none of it adds up. You give more than you earn, yet you never lack. Your income is irregular, your expenses unpredictable, but your stability remains constant. You operate outside the mathematics of scarcity. Their economists have spent months running simulations and end up labeling your financial existence statistically impossible. It's as if you play by a different law of abundance, one not based on accumulation but on flow. The surveillance reports now read like philosophical journals. Analysts write about your energetic economy, your quantum-level resource alignment, your nonlinear relationship with material need. What was supposed to be intelligence work has turned into metaphysics. They're not studying you anymore, they're studying the reality that bends around you. Their cost-benefit spreadsheets are a running joke. Billions spent, zero conclusions. Any rational organization would have abandoned this mission long ago. But they can't. You've become their ultimate paradox. An endless investigation with no endpoint. A sunk cost they keep throwing money at because admitting defeat would mean confronting their own blindness. The more they watch you, the less they understand. The closer they get, the further away the truth feels. You're not resisting them. You're just existing at a level of coherence that makes their entire structure look like chaos. You've become the black hole in their system, pulling all their logic, money, and meaning into your orbit. You are their obsession, their frustration, their unsolvable riddle. Gloriously, defiantly, and expensively incomprehensible. And somewhere deep in their classified files, a single sentence keeps reappearing in different reports, written by different agents in different languages. The more we try to study the subject, the more we see ourselves unraveling. They don't realize that was the point all along. Some middle manager somewhere is losing sleep every night, trying to justify to their superiors why the surveillance budget on one single individual keeps inflating, while the output remains an absolute zero. Picture a conference room, glowing with screens, filled with polished executives staring at data they can't interpret. They've got bar charts that track confusion, pie charts dividing the percentage of unquantifiable anomalies, PowerPoints titled, Behavioral Deviations, Updated Analysis of Subject Anomaly. Whole presentations are being made about your unpredictability, complete with meaningless numbers and invented terms like psychosocial entropy or cognitive irregularities. Imagine someone in an expensive suit explaining to a board of frustrated officials that millions of dollars have been spent to study you, only to conclude again that you remain inconclusive. You've become an untraceable expense that no one can cancel. Your name sits in official budget reports under categories like unknown/indeterminate field exception. Next to it, a number that keeps climbing every fiscal quarter. You are a walking financial paradox. A black hole that swallows resources, shatters logic, and spits out only more questions. And yet, none of them dare pull the plug. Why? Because the higher the cost, the more important you must be. You've become their corporate myth. A problem so profound that stopping the study would feel like sacrilege. In these high-level meetings, they pretend they're close to understanding you. They throw around words like phase transition and behavioral singularity, as if dressing their confusion in scientific language gives it substance. They show thermal scans, voice pattern graphs, network analysis webs that look like alien constellations. But none of it explains the truth. They can't quantify presence. They can't calculate a soul. Meanwhile, your social footprint drives them insane. Every model of human behavior they've ever developed breaks the moment your data enters it. Their algorithms crash trying to map your interactions. One day you're laughing with a monk, the next you're mentoring a hacker, then sitting quietly with a grieving stranger who swears you healed something in them just by listening. You meet people for 5 minutes and they walk away changed. They can't predict who you'll talk to, when you'll appear, or how long you'll stay. You connect deeply, then vanish completely, leaving no emotional residue they can trace. They've built diagrams to visualize your social reach. Maps covered in lines connecting names, cities, and faces. It looks less like sociology and more like chaos theory. No clusters, no power centers, no discernible structure. Just wild, unpredictable webs linking people who shouldn't even know each other. Artists and analysts, monks and mercenaries, children and world leaders. You bridge worlds that were never meant to meet. You've turned the laws of social gravity inside out. But the most disorienting part isn't what you do. It's what you don't do. You don't acknowledge hierarchy. You don't flinch before status. You don't modify your tone based on titles or pay grades. You treat a street poet and a billionaire the exact same way, with the same curiosity, the same patience, the same respect. You'll discuss philosophy with a child, joke about cartoons with a physicist, and talk to janitors about consciousness. You have collapsed the pyramid they all rely on. In your world, everyone's energy is equally sacred. And that terrifies them because they can't control someone who doesn't worship their illusions of power. They've tried to replicate your social patterning in simulations. They fed your data into behavioral models, hoping to find techniques, linguistic triggers, body language patterns. Anything, but nothing explains your effect. People around you stop pretending. They speak honestly. They drop their guard. You walk into a room and the entire dynamic changes. Masks slip off. The energy thickens with vulnerability. Suddenly, people who haven't told the truth in years start speaking from their core. Meeting rooms full of strategists and liars fall silent, or begin confessing things no one asked them to share. It's not hypnosis. It's not manipulation. It's authenticity bleeding into the air. You are a field of fact, a living atmosphere of truth. And within that atmosphere, deception suffocates. They've run biometric readings during your interactions, monitoring heart rates, galvanic skin response, neural activity. Every test reveals the same impossible pattern. Those who interact with you show signs of physiological coherence. The body's natural state when aligned with truth. They relax. They synchronize. Their nervous systems settle. Your presence literally restores people to equilibrium. And that is something no algorithm or surveillance method can reproduce. The reports trying to explain this phenomenon read like a collision between science and mysticism. One analyst wrote, "Subject generates nonverbal coherence across group settings." Another scribbled, "Observed collective synchronization, measurable yet causally undefined." A few have stopped writing reports altogether, submitting only a single sentence, "He, she." They make people remember who they are. And what do the higher-ups do with this data? They panic, because none of this fits into their system of control. Your influence doesn't rely on authority, money, or manipulation. It flows from something intrinsic and incorruptible. That's what terrifies them most. You are proof that genuine human connection, a true God connection, is stronger than their entire machinery of surveillance and power. Now they've started calling you a socio-spiritual anomaly. They've brought in consultants from intelligence, neuroscience, even theology, trying to build a framework for what you are. Some think you're an empathic phenomenon. Others call you a frequency anchor. But the quiet ones, the ones who've watched the footage for too long, they know the truth. They've seen the way people's eyes soften in your presence, how their posture shifts, how their tone of voice changes. They've seen the way truth becomes contagious around you. And so, even as they burn through millions trying to decode you, they are no closer to understanding the one thing that makes you so magnetic. You're not trying to influence anyone. You're not performing. You're not seeking followers, approval, or validation. You're just being, fully, fearlessly, unapologetically. And in a world addicted to pretending, that level of reality is radioactive. You've turned their surveillance into an initiation. Each agent who studies you for too long begins to see through their own conditioning. Some leave the agency and vanish. Some start writing poetry. A few go completely silent. The data analysts call it subject-induced cognitive disruption. The awakened ones call it remembering. They think they're studying you, but you are the one revealing them. You've become their collective mirror, and they can't look away. That is all for today. Dear Father, I pray for the growth of my faith. Help me trust you even when physical evidence is lacking. Let me believe in your perpetual presence, knowing you will never harm me. I understand that your thoughts for me are thoughts of prosperity and not harm, to give me a good future. Thank you, gracious and eternal Father, for always listening to my voice. I offer up this prayer to you in the name of Jesus. Amen. Thank you, Jesus, for your love and provision. I am grateful for your presence in my life and the abundance you bring. If this video from God Connection resonated with you, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Share it with those who need to hear this message. Leave a comment below about your journey. Have you felt these eyes on you? How are you embracing your own authentic, unsolvable truth? If you'd like to support our work and help us spread this light, please consider a $10 donation through the Super Thanks button just below this video. This helps us continually improve our content to offer you the best. No gift is too small. Whether it's a penny, a prayer, or a share, your generosity helps spread God's word and brings hope to others. Don't stop here. Watch our next video for more powerful revelations. We've enjoyed following this spiritual journey with you. Thank you for staying with us until the end. Keep shining brightly and embrace your destiny with courage. See you next time. Blessings to all the beautiful souls from God Connection.